Hello, my name is Dominic Coe, and this is going to be my presentation on the Physics2Lab2, the Charge Tape Lab Revisited. A little introduction. First, the purpose of this lab is to determine the approximate excess charge on a piece of charged tape. And we treat this charged tape as a line of charge instead of a point charge that we used in Lab 1. We also need to compare the values we get using the line charge estimation and compare it to that value that we found in Lab 1. Second is to create a more accurate computational model that utilizes the ideas of distributed line charge and superposition, building on the model that we made in Lab 1. Here are some concepts and equations that are necessary to understand this lab. First is Coulomb's law. We also have the force equation, gravitational force, like the force equals negative mass times g, which is the gravitational constant. Newton's second law that says that any object that has an F net of 0 is at equilibrium. Line charges, where we can see it's a collection of point charges in a line, and superposition, where the net electric field is the sum of all electric field on the individual charges. Some of the assumptions that we have to make for this lab are ignoring air resistance, adding all the charged portions to determine the total charge. The U-tape is also divided into many segments, and those segments are assumed to be point charges. Here's the code that we use. Next are the results. We found that the magnitude of the electric force is 2.7 times 10 to the negative 3 newtons. The gravitational force is 2.7 times 10 to the negative 3 newtons. And the charge of one piece of tape is 1.6 times 10 to the negative 3 coulombs. Some possible sources of error are inaccurate measurements, particularly for the dimensions of the tape. And also when handling the tape, there may be transfer of charges. We also made the assumption that air resistance was negligible, which may not be the case. So what if you had modeled each of your tapes as a single point charge like the previous lab? Compare your estimated value to the charge you get when you use the experimental data to produce a point charge model to the value you got with your line charge model. So the tape charge with a point charge model, we got 1.4 times 10 negative 9, and comparing it to the line charge model, it's 1.63 times 10 to the negative 9. So there's just an inherent difference between that code, which can lead to difference between these models. And why would the estimations differ? Which value is more likely to be closer? The line charges would be more accurate due to the number of steps, and hence the point charge would be unrealistic.